Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we try to make sense of all the corporate jargon that gets thrown our way. Today we're diving into a report from Premium Resources Ltd. And no, it's not about getting discounts on your next vacation, though that would be nice. Instead, we're looking at some changes to how they pay their people and how their shareholders voted on a few key decisions. Before we get started, if you find value in getting clear explanations of these reports, make sure to subscribe to Corporate Decoder. Also, join our Discord community, the link is in the description below, where we discuss these filings. So, what's the story? On June 3, 2025, Premium Resources held its annual meeting, where shareholders voted on some important stuff, including a new plan for paying employees and executives with stock options and other incentives. They also voted on things like moving the company to a different province and changing its name. Let's break it down. First up is something called the Long-Term Incentive Plan or Omnibus Plan. Essentially, this is a way for the company to reward its directors, officers, employees, and even some consultants with things like stock options, which are chances to buy company stock at a set price, and something called restricted share units or RSUs are basically promises of company stock after a set price, and something called restricted share units or RSUs are basically promises of company stock after a certain amount of time. This helps keep everyone motivated and working towards the same goals and makes them want the company to do well. Now, there are some limits to how many of these incentives can be given out. For example, the total number of shares that can be issued under this plan can't be more than 10% of all the company's outstanding shares. And there are also limits on how much any one person can get in a year. This is to keep things fair and prevent any one person can get in a year. This is to keep things fair and prevent any one person from getting too much. Another important thing to know is that these awards don't just vest or become yours right away. Usually they vest after a year, meaning you have to stick around for at least a year to get them. This encourages people to stay with the company longer. Let's talk a little more about RSUs. When you get an RSU, it's like getting a bonus that you can't cash in right away. Instead, after a certain time, you get actual shares of the company. The number of shares you get depends on how many RSUs you have. And if there's a big change in the company, like a takeover, those RSUs might vest immediately, meaning you get your shares right away. Now, what happens to your RSUs if you leave the company? Well, it depends. If you die, your RSUs go to your estate. If you're fired for a good reason, like doing something wrong, you lose your RSUs. If you leave on your own or are let go without a good reason, you also lose the RSUs that haven't vested yet. Then there are deferred share units or DSUs. These are similar to RSUs, but you don't get them until after you stop working for the company. It's like a retirement bonus. And just like RSUs, if there's a big change in the company, your DSUs might vest immediately. Also, directors, people on the board of the company can choose to get their fees in the form of DSUs. It's another way to tie their interest to the long-term success of the company. Finally, let's talk about options. An option gives you the right to buy shares of a company at a set price. This price is determined by the board, but it can't be lower than what the stock is currently worth. You have a certain amount of time, usually no more than 10 years, to use your option. And just like RSUs and DSUs, if there's a big change in the company, your options might vest immediately. To use your option, you have to tell the company you want to buy the shares and pay the full price. And what happens to your options if you leave the company? Again, it depends. If you die, your estate has a certain amount of time to use them. If you're fired for a good reason, you lose them. And if you leave on your own or are go with a good reason, you lose them. And if you leave on your own or are let go without a good reason, you have a limited time to use them. Now, the company can change or stop this plan at any time, but they usually need approval from regulators and shareholders to make big changes. They can also change the terms of the awards as long as it doesn't hurt the rights of the people who have them. Okay, let's move on to the shareholder votes. At the annual meeting, shareholders voted on a bunch of things. First, they elected 8 directors to the board. All 8 nominees were elected. For example, Mark Christensen got over 95 million votes for and about 300,000 abstentions. Nobody voted against, and retentions, nobody voted against. Next, they approved the appointment of an independent auditor, someone who checks the company's financial records to make sure everything is accurate. They also voted to move the company from Ontario to British Columbia and change its name to Nexus Critical Metals and Mining Corp, or another name the company chooses. Finally, they approved a plan to consolidate the company's shares. That means reducing the number of outstanding shares, which can increase the price of each share. Then they approved the Omnibus Plan, which we just talked about. The company announced all of this in a press release on June 4, 2025. And now let's step back and take a look at what all of this means. Overall, the company seems to be making changes to keep up with the times, moving to British Columbia, changing its name to reflect its focus on metals and mining, and consolidating its shares are all moves that could make the company more attractive to investors. The new incentive plan is a way to reward its people and keep them motivated, which is always a good thing. Of course, there are risks involved in any business. Changes like these can be disruptive, and it's always possible that things won't go as planned. But based on what we've seen in this report, Premium Resources seems to be taking steps to position itself for success. One thing that is important to note is that there are no financial tables. This form is just about events and company changes, so it's hard to judge the true health of a company without financials. In conclusion, these changes are a mixed bag. It's all about creating the right incentives to drive performance and alignment with shareholders. So, what do you think? Are these changes good for Premium Resources? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe for more deep dives into corporate filings. Also, don't forget to join our Discord community. The link is in the description. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.